Katerina Horobets left the opera house later than she should have. Her morning rehearsal of La Bayadère had stretched into discussions about wartime benefit performances, costume repairs, and whether the glass dome above the auditorium needed sandbagging. She was still wearing her practice tutu under a quilted winter coat when she hurried through the frigid January light toward Zoloty station. The streets of Kyiv were tense, with a hush she recognized too well, the hush between the first distant roar of engines and the citywide scream of sirens. Somewhere above the low clouds, missiles were angling south, and in the queues for coffee and cigarettes, people kept glancing upward, the way sunflowers turn toward a hidden sun. The sirens began just as Katerina reached the top of the escalators. They ululated through the vaulted entrance, driving a fresh wave of commuters, tourists, and office workers downward. Some raced, others floated, suspended in the artificial calm that descends on anyone who has practiced this drill a dozen times already. Katerina stepped onto the long metal escalator and let it swallow her, its ridged steps humming like an uncoiling harp string. She tightened the ribbons of her point shoes, more out of reflex than need. They were hardly ideal footwear for emergencies, but she had danced her first recital in these shoes. She trusted them the way warriors trust talismans. Below, marble columns waited in twilight. Zoloty was an underground cathedral. White stone, gilded mosaics, arches that gleamed like ancient armor. It was also, though this was not listed on any official map, one of the 9 Kyiv stations that could transform into a dragon post, a mechanical dragon post. When the capital was threatened, the design had been smuggled out of a Tsarist foundry, perfected by Bolshevik dreamers, and completed by post-Soviet engineers who swore they were building only ventilation systems. Not everyone believed the legend, but Katerina's grandmother had. When Katerina was small, Babalyur would tap a subway pillar and whisper, "Inside sleeps Zoloty, the Golden One. Give him rhythm, and he will guard you." By the time she reached the platform, the space looked like an impromptu refugee camp. Families unfurled wool blankets across the tiles. Someone handed out cups of sweet tea. A soldier in digital camouflage crouched beside a pram. Every phone was tuned to telegram channels, chasing rumors of impact sites, flight paths, blackout schedules. Katerina wrapped her coat tighter and found an empty niche between 2 granite lions that guarded the corridor leading toward the Soretsko-Pecherska. From up the tunnel, a low creak drifted like brakes, or rust, or something larger shifting inside stone. She felt the dragon before she saw it. The floor trembled, not with the violence of an explosion, but with an almost polite shiver, as though testing whether the humans above were worth its trouble. The chandeliers flickered. The ornate metalwork beneath their glass shades rearranged itself silently, tendrils spiraling into serrated whiskers, and along the walls mosaic tiles turned, scales catching the emergency lighting, so that red, green, and indigo pinpoints raced like fireflies. A child pointed. "Mama, the station is breathing." Indeed, the air grew warm, perfumed with iron and coal, the scent of a locomotive waking after decades in a siding. A voice boomed through the public address system, but the words distorted. Where instructions about shelters and sanitation should have been, there came a rumbling consonant. Heavy language no one recognized. The dragon tongue, Katerina thought. Her pulse stuttered in counterpoint to that subterranean speech. She remembered the rules. Dragons, even mechanical ones, were governed by rhythm. They were forged of cogs, hydraulics, and wires braided with folk prayers. A steady communal beat kept their gears aligned. Erratic noise could drive them berserk. If panicked passengers began screaming, chaos would feed chaos until the station turned predator, crushing the very citizens it was built to shield. The first human screams echoed, thin and brittle. A fixture snapped overhead, raining glass. People surged toward the far escalators, but metal grates slammed down in an instant, closing exits. The platform tilted a fraction, as if the dragon were flexing shoulders buried in granite. Some fell, cries climbed. Katerina's training wrenched her upright. No matter how many times she sprained an ankle, she always landed on point. She scanned the turmoil until her gaze found a maintenance alcove where a lone violinist, young Bluehead, wearing headphones around her neck, slid down the wall, clutching her instrument case. Katerina darted to her. "Do you know Shedrik?" she asked, naming the Ukrainian carol whose ostinato could part ice on the Dnipro River, according to me. The violinist blinked. "Of course. I'm Yulia. But I can't play if people trample me. We won't let them." Katerina turned, seeking allies. The soldier with the pram was already hustling over, face set in a quiet, competent mask. "Need something punny?" he asked. "A circle," Katerina said. "Keep a space clear. Music must start now." Yulia's fingers shook as she unpacked her violin. Yet when her bow met strings, the opening notes cut through the station's rumble like moonlight through storm clouds. People paused, startled by the fragile beauty weaving over their heads. The dragon's language faltered. The chandeliers steadied. Katerina stepped into the cleared circle, letting the music pour through her bones. She removed her coat, revealing the ivory tutors of rehearsal already fraying at hem, but still a swan's plumage. She raised her arms to fifth position, sucked a deep breath of coal-scented air, and began a playade. Her knees bent, heels rooted, spine floating. Each movement was deliberate, an offering. The violin sketched the carols repeating triplets. Katerina answered with arabesques that stitched invisible sigils in the murk. Around her the crowd thickened, drawn by the choreography of survival. The dragon watched. She felt its gaze, a furnace blast against her shoulder blades, but she did not look toward the moor forming in the far tunnel. If she acknowledged that molten gold stare, her nerve would fail. Instead, she thought of her first ballet class above a grocery store, of Babunia clapping a wooden spoon to keep time. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Rhythm. The truth older than war. Yulia modulated into a faster variation. Katerina pivoted, arms opening like gates. She beckoned with both hands. "Join me," she commanded the bystanders. "Step, step, hold, like this, da-da-dum." She demonstrated a simple 3-count step. Right foot out, left foot crosses, pause. Folk dance, not ballet. Accessible, repeatable, life-size magic. A woman in an AirPods knit cap copied her, then a boy holding a stuffed hedgehog. The soldier with the pram rocked forward, boots thudding softly on marble. Soon 50 people formed an improvised corps de ballet, their cadence thickened into a heartbeat amplified by the hollow chamber. One mistimed scream might still undo it, but the scream did not come. Even the babies sensed the change. They regarded the shifting columns with round, solemn eyes. Stone grated, a segment of wall unscrolled like a theatre drape revealing a riveted torso studded with emeralds the size of apples. The chest of Zolotoy, the Golden One. Steam hissed. Above, the mosaics rearranged into a dragon's sternum and ribs, each tile a scale welded by metaphysical solder. The beast's neck extended through the tunnel arch, gears meshing, until its head part locomotive cowcatcher, art Kyiv rust diadem, hung over the dancers. Its nostrils glowed carbide blue. The collective steps did not falter. Elderly knees buckled but found support. A barista and a street poet steadied each other's elbows. Someone began humming a descant. The violin soared, embedding itself into the station's superstructure. The dragon inhaled, then exhaled a billow of warm, dust-scented air across the circle, like a bellows blessing a forge. The crowd shivered but held tempo. The station stabilized. Tremors eased. Katerina felt the Golden One settling, its ironclad muscles relaxing as cogs clicked into synchronous spin. For a long minute, nothing accompanied the music except the hush of fortified silence. Then the platform lights flickered crimson. A second siren shrieked, Short, jabbing pulses unlike the rolling alert that had driven them underground. Katerina stumbled out of releve. The dragon's pupils narrowed to slits. Yulia nearly dropped her violin. "What is that?" she gasped. "Hypersonics," muttered the soldier. "They travel faster, harder to intercept." Everyone had heard the stories. When the sky delivered a second wave, the Dragon Post sometimes rebooted to battle mode. Without perfect control, Zolotoy's internal batteries could discharge explosively, burning station, passengers, and quarter-mile of neighbouring tunnel into metallic confetti. The heartbeat they had built might not be enough. Katerina's chest pounded, her ankles throbbed. The old micro-tear from last autumn sang with acid clarity. She glanced toward an access door half concealed behind marble veneer. Engineers entered there to service the dragon's heart, a gyroscopic drum that stored momentum. If its rotational harmony slipped, Zolotoy could not contain his own power. Someone needed to reach that drum and realign its spin with a stronger rhythm. A solo more precise than a communal shuffle. "Bohdan," she called. She knew the soldier's name now, gleaned from the baby blanket that bore it. "Watch the people. Keep them stepping." He nodded, sweat silvering his temples. Katerina ran, sliding sideways through the flexing architecture until the maintenance door met her palms. It was unlatched, as if expecting her. Inside, a spiral stair descended toward a roar like oceans inside caverns. Turquoise light painted the narrow walls. The air tasted of ozone and transformer oil. Down she went, pain shooting along her Achilles tendons. At each landing she reminded herself, turn out, breath, alignment, dance, even when no one sees. Bavunia again. Discipline is memory stored in muscle. Finally, the stair spat her onto a mezzanine, overlooking the heart. She had imagined a clockwork drum, no bigger than a car wheel. What hovered before her was a planet forged from bronze and brass, suspended within magnetic rings, spinning so fast its surface blurred to liquid sheen. Sparks leapt, where misaligned coils scraped. Every spark echoed as a subsonic growl in the dragon's chest above. She understood, without knowing how, that the drum was missing its counter-rhythm. It was listening for a soloist, a lead dancer, to partner its titanic pirouette. Katerina stepped onto the grated catwalk, arms out for balance. The force of the rotating field pulled at the metal eyelets of her point shoes. She took position fourth, raised her right leg, and executed a slow développement effront. The drum shuddered. She transitioned to paché, then an arabesque penché, letting gravity draw her torso forward while her left leg angled behind like a compass needle locked to true north. Still not enough. The drum's wobble increased, sparks fountaining. Outside she heard the roar of interceptor missiles, or perhaps of Zolotoy disassembling his own corridor. She recalled Swan Lakes, Act 3, Odil's 32 Fouettes. The Tempest everyone remembered. She had performed them in Kyiv the night before the war began, her best friend Maria counting under her breath off stage. 32 was the sacred number of feathers in that costume's wingspan. Why not here? A heart needed wings. She lowered, centered, and launched. One ankle whips, other leg opens à la seconde. Eyes slice air, 2, 3, 4. The floor vibrated, but she anchored her core, letting torque spin her. 5 through 12, sweat blurred vision. She kept spotting. 13, 14, metal groaned. The drum's axis straightened a fraction. 15, 20, her quads burned, lungs ragged. She thought of the crowd above, the babies, the violinist, Bohdan's pram. Thought of Kyiv's river curling like a blue ribbon, of golden domes, of the posters outside the opera pleading, come back soon. 25, pain lanced her shin. 26, ribbon came loose, shoe threatening to fly, she clenched toes. 27, 28, sparks sprayed, but now they were symmetrical, forming halos along magnetic rings. 29, her vision tunneled. 30, she bit her tongue, tasted copper. 31, the drum's hum fell into perfect octave with her heartbeat. 32, Finish. She landed in first position, arms V-shaped, head tilted back so the planet drum reflected in her tears. Silence followed, an immense held breath. Then a chime like cathedral bells made of rail tracks struck by sunlight. The drum locked into golden equilibrium. Heat rushed past her harmlessly, like applause made wind. A steel iris opened in the ceiling. A platform rose, carrying Katerina upward. She emerged onto the main concourse where hundreds of passengers still danced their three-step mantra. Bodan's toddler gurgled in the pram as though counting along. The chandeliers shone steady white. The dragon's head rested atop a line of columns, eyes half-lidded, content. The second siren died. Above ground, anti-air batteries must have done their work, or the missiles had veered elsewhere. A voice, this time human, uncorrupted, echoed, "All clear. Repeat, all clear. Trains will resume when power is confirmed." Relief rippled through the crowd. Some wept. Some laughed. People phones rose, recording proof that life persisted at depth minus 97 feet. Katerina's platform clicked flush with the floor. She stepped off, wobbling. Yulia caught her, supporting her elbow. "You did it. Whatever you did worked." "Not alone," Katerina whispered. She glanced at the dragon. Its brass eyelids lowered in what she interpreted as a bow. A thin thread of steam escaped its nostrils, shaping a heart before vanishing. Bodan approached, baby cradled in one arm. "My son never stopped smiling," he said, cheeks wet. "You kept him safe." "We kept each other safe." Katerina flexed her foot, pain flickered but bearable. Passengers began collecting blankets, thermoses, toys. Some lingered, unwilling to break the circle that had saved them. A teenage girl spun experimentally, mimicking Katerina's flotte. She wobbled but stayed upright. Applause bubbled, a gentler encore. Katerina faced them. "If you can walk, you can dance," she said, voice hoarse yet clear. "Meet me here tomorrow at 1800. We'll rehearse a new piece for Zolotoy, for all the dragons. Bring instruments, bring children, bring whatever rhythm you own." Murmurs of agreement. In wartime, invitations rarely concerned arts. This one felt medicinal. People dispersed with lighter shoulders, as if carrying away tinsel instead of trauma. The dragon's architecture eased back into station geometry, mosaics returning to saints and princes, columns straightening, chandeliers shedding whiskers. Yet a residue of wonder clung to every surface. Nobody doubted now that Kyiv's metro saints carried golden hearts. Katerina found her coat, stuffed tutu and shoes into a tote. As she limped toward the escalator, Yulia hurried beside her. "Is that offer real?" "Yes. I'm tired of waiting for normal." Katerina brushed dust off Yulia's violin case. "Between raids, we'll make new normal below ground. The city above keeps fighting, we'll keep its rhythm here." They rode the escalator up together. Midway, Katerina looked back. From this angle, the station resembled an immense stage set. Archways glowing amber, marble polished like the inside of a seashell. She thought she saw the dragon again, curled where only trained eyes could detect him, a sparkle of emerald, a hinge like a jawline. He was resting, but not asleep. He would listen for them. Outside, snowflakes spiraled through beams of winter sun that finally pierced the clouds. Sirens were silent, though smoke smudged the horizon. Pedestrians re-entered streets, blinking like theatre-goers exiting a matinee. Unsure whether the music still played behind them, Katerina inhaled cold air sharp as broken glass. Pain and elation twined in her chest. She stepped onto the pavement and raised one arm overhead, fingers poised. No audience lined the boulevard, but she bowed anyway. To the sky, to the unseen Iron Guardian below, and to the city that danced even when no one saw, because rhythm was memory and memory was survival. Tomorrow, and all tomorrows until the war ended, she would lead Kyiv's clandestine ballet and the dragons would guard the beats.